Hey everybody, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Today is the 29th of August, 2020. We're here in my apartment where I am slowly bringing all of my collection from the greenhouse into my apartment, and this area here is going to become a little indoor orchid area. And I'm actually got a friend gonna buy some half-inch PVC pipe, and I'm gonna construct like a little case, and then I'm gonna either use a shower curtain or some kind of plastic to put around it to hold the humidity in. I'm gonna get a fan. I'm going to use my current light, and then I might get an additional light as well. And then I'm gonna get all my plants here and have them here with me, and hopefully not see as many issues as I have been seeing in the greenhouse. Of course, we're giving up the sun all day and the warmth and the humidity of the greenhouse, but we're also going to be giving up, hopefully, exposure to pests, over fertilization, too low temperatures in the winter time. So hopefully the trade-off is going to be good. I don't expect the same amount of great growth that I've seen in the greenhouse, but I'm hoping not to see as many problems as well. Alright, so let's look at what we've got here at home, and then we'll go over to the greenhouse and see what's left over there. First thing is, we've got this lovely Phalaenopsis that a friend gave me a few months ago, and it bloomed in June, July, and still looking really nice. My cattail orchid is starting to kind of, looks like it's the end of the growing season for this guy, and it might be going dormant soon. It's starting to grow the little babies that it's kind of famous for. Each one of these little babies, they just kind of grow on the bulbs, and then they fall off and they become their own plants. So just kind of throw these in the pot. And then my Pav Prime Child, I have got new growths on it, but every time the new growths push out, it tears the leaf that it pushes out from, and then that tear gets infected, and then I end up with the whole leaf rotting, and then sometimes that rot will actually spread to the rest of the growth, and it is so frustrating. I don't know what to do. I actually bought a product called Phyton 27 this week, and I applied it to all of the plants that are having what I can think are some kind of fungus or bacterial rot, and I applied it. We're going to see what happens. This little guy, this is Phalaenopsis schilleriana. Normally it has been living in the greenhouse, but I brought it home because you can see major issue on this brand new leaf. It came out nice and beautiful, and now look at it. So you've got these really nasty pits. I don't know what caused it. It doesn't seem to be spreading, but I don't want this next new leaf to experience the same thing. So I treated the plant with the Phyton 27, which is chelated copper sulfate and picric acid solution. So we will see. It's supposed to be a systemic bactericide and fungicide. So whatever this is, some people have suggested that it's some kind of a cell collapse due to a temperature problem, but I don't know. We're going to see. Hopefully it's not going to spread and it will recover. Over here, so another plant that I was just mentioning a minute ago about how, you know, the new growth pushes out roots, and then the new roots, the torn tissue gets infected, and then the new growth starts to rot. So that's happening here. This is a new growth on my Path Michael Kopowitz, and this new leaf is starting to rot. And so it's a brand new growth, but you know, it's only got 4 leaves on it, and this one's starting to rot. The lower one rotted. And then when I look at these 2 new growths too, if you look down here, this one has turned brown. So I treated this whole thing with the Phyton 27 as well. Soaked the roots in it, sprayed it all over the leaves. It's supposed to be systemic. we will see. This thing is irritating me, but the root growth has really been great. You know, there's lots of roots growing in there, so if I can just get rid of this rot problem, we might actually be able to get somewhere with this guy. My Cattleya Maxima finally dropped the 2 beautiful lavender flowers that it had, and it's got 2 more flower buds coming on. That's super exciting. Really excited about those guys. And hopefully they will grow out nicely and bloom. The flowers lasted about a month. And then we've got my bulbophyllums back here. This is bulbophyllum Lovely Elizabeth, Rufinum, Lepidum, and Catenulatum all in the same pot, the same big basket. And then this one is bulbophyllum Medusae. And I'm just trying to watch them grow and get them back on a regular watering and fertilizing cycle, and hopefully we will see some flower spikes pushing out of it this winter. And then we got Dendrobium Country Girl. I stopped fertilizing in about the middle of August or so, maybe the beginning of August actually, and so the growth here is just kind of going on the whatever nitrogen or nutrient reserves are left in the plant, and it's managed to put out a really nice root system inside this very glamorous cottage cheese container. It's just granite rock with sphagnum on top to keep it moist, and I'm not letting it dry out, but I'm not fertilizing it either, and that's hopefully going to encourage it to produce lots of flowers. It needs a cool, dry period in the fall, and then that'll cause it to bloom in the spring, hopefully. I've got a couple little paths down here that seem to be doing okay. Path villosum and path callosum. You can see some blackening back there. Again, this one, I've just got these in sphagnum with granite at the bottom of the pot, and I'm waiting until the sphagnum gets almost crispy dry before I water. So like this guy I watered today, but this one you can see it's kind of drying out, but it's still cool to the touch and spongy, so not quite dry enough yet. And I'm hoping that the new growth on that plant will not rot. And then if we go over to the window here, I've got my Catasetum's home as well. And so from right to left, this is Desert Davison, Mormodia Jumbo World, and Secnotus Wine Delight. And these guys are home because they had some spider mites that did not go away. So I've got them home, and I can keep them here, and I can take them to the sink and just, you know, knock the spider mites off in the sink. And I can also treat them. I got some neem oil that I can use, but the spider mites like that hang out right in that ridge there. And then little Jumbo World. This damage is not from spider mites. This damage is from 91% isopropyl alcohol that I sprayed the plant with in an attempt to kill the spider mites. And the spider mites laughed at me, and the plant did not appreciate it one bit. But there are fewer than there were, and I can keep a much better eye on them here at home. And you know, last year I had really great growth on all my Catasetums like I've had this year, but I did not have very good flowering. There was one plant, it was a Catasetum Fong Sing. It actually flowered beautifully last year, and I gave that plant to Stephen Van Campen Lewis. So if you're curious about what happened to Fong Sing, he has done an amazing job with it. It's huge in his care, and hopefully it's going to put out lots of beautiful spikes for him this year. I still feel like I've gotten really decent growth this year, but I'm wondering if the reason that they didn't put out tons of flowers last year was because They were continuously over fertilized all season, even into the blooming season. And I read recently that too much nitrogen can actually impede blooming. I don't know if that's the case for these plants, but the experiment this year is that they're gonna receive, you know, much less fertilizer as the days get shorter and cooler, and maybe we will see more flowers than we did last year, hopefully. This plant didn't bloom at all last year, even though it put out this enormous bulb. I feel like it should have, but it didn't bloom at all, so maybe this bulb will bloom this year. Alright guys, well let's go on over to the greenhouse and see how the Cattleyas are doing. Okay, here we are, and here's Hal with two beautiful flowers open. This is Bulbophyllum echinolabium, and hopefully Hal will put out some leaves soon. He has been flowering profusely for the past year or so, but has not put out a whole lot of growth. And actually the first 3 years that I had him, he did nothing but put out growths. So let's get back to that. My Cattleya rexes, I had a couple of them bloom this summer, and so I pollinated 3 of them, and the seed pods are really starting to form and take shape now. One of them, I realized it had been touching another leaf, and where it was touching that other leaf, it actually developed some spots on it. You can kind of see them on the inside there, but I moved it so that it wasn't in contact with anything else, so I think that that is going to stop. A lot of the little Cattleya rexes put out a new growth in the spring, and now they're working on a second new growth, and also lots of roots as well. But within the next couple of months, around November or so, they will kind of enter a dormancy phase and stop growing and basically just kind of chill out. You can see this one's really got lots of roots pushing out. It didn't have any roots last year, so I'm very happy to see it's doing quite a bit better. And this one is a hybrid. This is a Bobets by Bobels, also known as Jose Marti. And it's got 3 new growths on it, all pushing out. So this is supposed to be a spring blooming white hybrid. So maybe those new growths will bloom next spring. And Cattleya hardiana is a very cool cross. It's actually putting out new roots right now, and it's a cross, but it actually occurs in nature. RLC Jesse Lee's got 2 nice sheaths. It put out like 7 blooms in the spring, so when these 2 new growths come out, we might see even more new, blooms from it as well. And then Cattleya walkeriana has got 2 new growths pushing. This one looks like it's about to start, the leaf's about to split open. And then this little growth in the back, I was like, ooh, really hoping it was going to be some kind of a spike, but it's a growth as well. And apparently they bloom a little later in the season. Vanda falcata is just growing right along. It's really just had a great time in the greenhouse. It loves all the warmth and fertilizer that it gets there. It's really just gotten huge since it's lived there. And then a couple that I don't show too often. This guy on the right is a Dendrochilum tenellum. It was just a little 3-leaf division last year, and it's really put out lots of leaves. It's got really nice white flowers when it does bloom. And then this is a Dendrobium nobile type that it's I don't have an ID for it, but it's got beautiful white flowers tinged with rose and a lovely fragrance. And that's it for this week's update. Please stay tuned for the next update, because I will have all my orchids at home and my grow setup complete in my apartment. So until then, take care. And I'm William Green. These are my green pets. See you later.